Welcome back to SME Insights. We're at the SME Mission Critical Workforce 2030 exhibit at FABTECH. Today, I'm joined by Carmen Mahon, who is the Citywide STEM Initiatives Manager with Chicago Public Schools, or CPS. This conversation will bring you insights on the importance of STEM education programs at CPS and the impact that STEM has on this community of students. Carmen, welcome to SME Insights.
Thank you for having me. It is such a pleasure to be here. I really do appreciate the platform so that we can get the education out. So I appreciate
Absolutely. You and I first met in around 2022. Your first week on the job
Yeah.
with Chicago Public Schools. Became best of friends ever since then. Been working together since
Yes.
then.
Yes.
We'll continue doing that.
Absolutely.
Chicago Public Schools has about 340,000 total students in the system. How many of those students are involved in CPS STEM schools? How many schools, how many students?
Gotcha. So we currently have 51 STEM and STEAM schools. That is their program designation. There are 13 high schools. And so that impacts a little bit over 7,500 students for the high school portion, but overall with elementary and high school, we're talking about 25,000 kids.
Oh, wow, that's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. And how many different schools is that then? 51
51.
different schools? About how many teachers are
Oh.
held there?
So
That's a big number.
that is a big number. There are STEM and STEAM specialists at each of those schools.
Yeah.
So you're averaging about two people who are committed to STEM education on the broader scale. But then you also have to remember, if you got science, math, computer science in your school, those are also STEM teachers as well. So 51 times all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And I left the A out of STEM, and it is STEAM in my household too, because my wife is an art teacher.
Yes, she is.
We
How-
do believe in STEAM. She's great.
Yeah, tell her I said hello, please.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that you do is events throughout the city. You have something coming up called Reimagining STEM.
Yes.
Tell me about that program and how that goes.
So it's an experience. So when we first met, 2022, Dr. Kelly Easterly said, we have to figure out a way to help people see the vision of STEM. Because some people run away when they hear STEM because they think, I'm not a science person, I'm not a math person, computer science is not offered, all of those things. And so I said, with the one person that I am, I'm like, we need to do some large events. And so I ended up talking to partners to see what their thoughts were. Now, I will say that I got a slew of partners saying, hey, we want to support what you're doing. So the first Reimagining STEM happened in October of that year, 2022, with the Museum of Science and Industry. We had over 1,500 families that came and experienced activations. In addition to that, we also provided food. So we want to remove the barriers for families. We also provided transportation, working with our FACE department, because we know, number one, we have to make sure that it's attractive.
Yeah.
You don't know what it is, so how do we bring you in?
Right.
So not only did we get the families there, but we also created this brand around this experience, students and their families working together, having this exploration, this curiosity, creativity. It doesn't always have to be within a content area. There are some natural skills that go across all of that, but if you don't know and you're not exposed, you won't know. And so from those events, what we have continued to do, we're working on our sixth one now. We've had events with the Wintrust Sports Complex, which we partner with Chicago Sky. So the focus was STEM and sports. We've also worked with Chicago Fire, again, understanding how sports connects with all of this as well. Digital fabrication, seeing what current professional teams use to actually expose young people. And if you have that experience with parents and then we give you something to continue the conversation at home, it is a magical experience. And here's the thing, some parents are like, why are you inviting us? Like, what is the agenda? You know, it's always some agenda. And why not? Parents are the first teachers. And when we talk about parents, we're also talking about caregivers. We're talking about caring adults, folks that can root for young people to say, hey, try this or come to this amazing conference. That is important. All too often we're moving too fast and folks forget, how do you raise these young folks into these experiences if they don't know?
Yeah. Well, and inviting the families and parents and
Absolutely.
caregivers, I imagine you've seen some of those family members say, I didn't know about these kinds of jobs.
Absolutely.
I'm interested in this.
I'm
Are you
interested.
seeing that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so crazy because we had an event at Build Chicago, and a couple of families, we always get testimonials, but a couple of parents were like, hey, I haven't been working. I've had this, I've had 2 children since then. And I really want to get to know this. Like, this is sparking my own interest. And as a result, they ended up getting certified through Amazon's and learning. I don't know all of the details, but the point is that because of this event, there was this amazing curiosity that occurred, and the parents just really dig deeper. And I don't know how many parents from these events, but I think that that is a great question, and I need to figure out a way to capture that. I think that part right there really does change the trajectory of families. So we can do that and play our part. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Um, One of the things, Reimagining STEM, that's an important event, but you also take busloads of students around to visit the community college system,
Absolutely.
the city colleges
Yes.
of Chicago. I'm really aware of some of the things that you do at the MTech at Richard Daley College. Can you talk
Absolutely.
about that and the importance of showing students the actual programs that they'll be in once they graduate high school and go to a community college?
Absolutely. So before I was in this position, I just want to make sure you have some context. I was a school counselor, and then I was the early college STEM program manager at one of our STEM schools. And so I really believe that exposure is important. And so when I was the early college STEM program manager, working with the other 13, well, the other 12 high schools, we all were intentional about making sure that we had these STEM experiences so that young people not only know, hey, I see it literally and not just reading about it, but now I can also potentially get internships, because there's a number of internships that are also affiliated with this exposure as well. So when you talk about the M, of course, we know it's the math, but I love what you said about manufacturing. Again, working with Daley, Wright College, the city colleges of Chicago with early college STEM, students can get certifications. They can also take courses as well. So if you are interested in being an electrician, or you're interested in welding, if you're interested in just overall manufacturing, those experiences really are intentional. So I do know that the Early College and Career Education Department has an initiatives with Girls in STEM. And I know that they're intentional about making sure that young people they attend career fairs, these exposure opportunities. I do know that there is a stronger relationship with them, even more so now, because they're affiliated with Bowl House Foundation, which is also really intentional about engineering and exposing young girls to engineering as well.
Okay.
And so again, I think it's about hands-on experiences. I tell you this every time I see you, I wouldn't have known if I didn't see it. This is a career pathway that can really change your life. You don't like boring classes. This is far beyond boring. This is hands-on. Then you can actually build things that matter to our climate, to our communities. And they don't see that connection because it's so wide. And I also feel like there's some teachers that don't understand the full capacity of what this industry has to offer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. When they go to the MTech at Richard Daley College, or they go to Humboldt Park's campus, they're going to see state-of-the-art equipment,
The art.
which is what we want them to see,
Yeah.
whether it's a CNC machine,
Yeah.
a welder, or
Yeah.
robots
Yeah.
and 3D printers and
Yeah.
things like that. They've got a great mechatronics program
Yes.
at Humboldt Park
Yep.
now, and glad to see that happening there for
Absolutely.
Billy and the whole gang at Humboldt Park. But yeah, giving students the experience,
Yeah.
the actual kind of equipment that they'll be working with in industry
Yeah.
is really important. And that's why those city colleges have gotten it so correct
Yeah.
when it comes to manufacturing education programs.
And there's an intentional partnership
Yeah.
with CCC and CPS.
Yeah.
And that, I believe, really will, when I talk about Chicago as the city that works, I don't know if that's just the old slogan, but I'm like, no, we clearly are the city that works. And in order for this city to continue to thrive, we need to make sure that our young people have exposure, and we need to make sure that they actually are going to these courses or taking certifications and really just trying to see what they can actually do. You said it before too, like a number of young people are not college bound. And what does that even mean? At the end of the day, you can go and save money and get a job while you're in school and doing something that you love.
Yeah.
A number of our schools have maker spaces and STEM labs with 3D printers. But again, you can do a lot with 3D printers, but that's just the basic of what you can, do on a larger scale in some of these industries. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've switched gears a little bit and talk about your career trajectory recently. So
Yes.
this is a great story that I think is wonderful. Homeowner, you felt compelled to learn more about the need for having an electrician in the home, and so you went out and did it yourself, right? So where'd you go to school to do that, and
Yes.
how did and you became certified too?
So I'm in the process of certification. I
Okay.
took the test and I'm doing the classes. So it's funny, I heard about CWIT when I was a school counselor. And then it just snuck up in my dreams, again, out of necessity, because I am a homeowner. And I'm like, every time I try to hire somebody, it's always something. And so I heard on a podcast that the nation needs like 500,000 electricians. And I was just like, I need to be one of those. I need to be one of those. And then, of course, the imposter syndrome sneaks in. And I said, but I don't want a career change at this young age of level 47. But I am amazed by what I'm learning. I'm also amazed by the fact that I just jumped because I have my own STEM identity because of this work.
Yeah.
And I don't know where this is going to lead, but I also see myself as this lifelong learner. I feel like the example of me and learning everything that I see, I can do it too.
And did you tell me there were other level 47
Yes.
women in the class with you
A
too?
few that's higher, but
Those, okay.
yes, because I think we all were feeling like we have to show up. We have to be present. If not us, then who?
Yeah.
And I just think we have a lot of wisdom with it too.
Sure.
Again, I didn't know that was a number, that was a real issue. What I see, and I know that electricians are needed, but I also like to use my hands, and I also like to build things. So why not?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're all on that same page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I really appreciate that story. It's wonderful. Getting back to the students that you have in CPS STEM now,
Yes.
what's the data tell us about impact and how successful this program is, and who really benefits from it the most?
So I think that there are multiple layers of this. The 51 STEM and STEAM schools receive support that is very intentional when we talk about programs, when we talk about professional learning for teachers, when we talk about design challenges and engineering challenges and math competitions. We know that with this generation, we need to make sure that it's bright and bold and that it's engaging. And so when we think about the data, there's a couple of things that in our department. Now, I will say that there are multiple departments that kind of keep track of this. What we've been seeing is that there's been an increase in out of school time with like robotics programming, as well as coding in addition to design and engineering clubs across the district, and they may not be within the 51 STEM esteem schools, but there's this synergy around the city. Like, we have to have these programs because oftentimes during the school day, it's not built in, or it could be an alternative lesson.
Yeah.
So we've seen an increase in participation with OST. And this is across, when you talk about the 340K, this is across the district.
Yeah.
Young people, well, schools have to enter that data into Aspen, which is our sister or collecting data. And once we know that gauges sort of like, okay, where are the schools that need this exposure? We're able to look at that data and actually link programs with those schools as well. Now, we know that the budget, doesn't allow for a lot of movement, but a lot of organizations just want to be able to support schools with these OST programs.
Yeah.
I think the other piece with our data, we launched our Your STEM Journey platform, which was, it was beautiful. Let me just say that it's been a 2-year process, with the data sharing agreement and all of that good stuff. But we're able to actually, there are a couple of dashboards that we're able to see, again, what programs are offered within STEM at each school from K to 12. Now, I don't know if you know this, but our computer science K-8 team, they're launching this K-8 initiative for computer science, and it just started this year. So you will begin to hear a lot more about that. But we know that computer science is needed, and we know that computer science is happening. So that we'll see that data increase as well when it comes to elementary schools with CS programming or CS classes within the schools. I think the other portion too is that we have our own internal platform that really measures PL, professional learning, for teachers. And so the more involvement that we have with teachers just learning these skills, we've been doing pretty well. One of the things that I think non-STEM schools tend to struggle with or a challenge is like, hey, I can't leave the building. We need sub coverage. So there are multiple layers within our system that we need to support. And then we also have to get within certain content areas more folks to come so that they get the skills that are needed. And so we're seeing that data increase. And we saw that data increase last year. I haven't seen it within the previous years. But again, we're using this data to say, hey, our teachers come into professional learning because that's going to translate to schools, and that's going to translate to students. With these programs that we're offering in, out of school time, we're seeing the numbers increase because young people need to be involved and exposed. We also have seen a number of partnerships that might have existed years ago that are coming back just because, staffing changes that have happened. And so I've done, I think, a really good role. I've played a really good role in reestablishing relationships with community-based organizations that are doing the good work.
Yep.
So that we can also increase OST. And the only way that we're able to gauge that is when schools put the information into Aspen, and we can control the professional learning portion, and we can also see this on this new platform. So I think that the prediction next year, we'll begin to see maybe an increase. I don't know how much the budget is going to impact on the broader scale, but hopefully when we talk about the importance of student experience, that we will see either something consistent or we'll see an increase in some capacity.
Sure.
But the data does really drive us to know what schools need, what programming, and what schools need actually resources. That's the only way that we can tell.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I've had Jason Coleman from Project Sincere
Yep.
here today, and Kevin Mendoza
Yep.
and Rebecca Cornack, your colleagues for
Yep.
CPS Computer Science.
Yep.
And it's evident.
Yeah.
These kids that are going through STEM programs, they're going into different programs
Yeah.
and competing in FIRST Robotics and other things.
Absolutely.
So you're seeing that out of school time, doing other things, and it's going to lead to terrific education to career pathways for these students. So
And we
keep
have
doing what you're doing,
Thank you.
okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was going to say we have to move with a sense of urgency, but yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I appreciate you being here today. This was a great conversation. It's good to see you.
It's over? No, we have so much to talk about. No, but yes. And I just wanted to say too, even with the science fair, it just triggered the fact that the science exhibition is a part of our department. And the young people who present, they have been exposed to OST, robotics, code, all of the e-scores. They've been exposed to this. And their level of creativity is far beyond what I've seen in the last 15 years. And I want folks to know that it's because of those programs that young people are able to translate that into industry.
Right.
They dig deeper, and we're being able to see the power. So yes, I needed to say that. I don't know how
You're welcome to say that.